Bitcoin just dropped towards $77,000, and once again, geopolitics is shaking the crypto market. This time, rising tension involving Donald Trump, Iran, oil markets, and broader global uncertainty is pushing investors into full risk-off mode. Bitcoin recently fell into the mid-$76,000 to $77,000 range as traders reacted to fears of escalation in the Middle East. And honestly, this is one of the biggest realities people still struggle to understand about crypto. Bitcoin may be decentralized, but the market around it still reacts heavily to macro fear. When oil prices spike, bond yields rise, or geopolitical tensions escalate, traders start pulling money out of risk assets fast. And right now, crypto is still treated as a risk asset by most of the market. Now, according to recent reports, over $600 million in crypto liquidations hit the market during this latest sell-off, with Bitcoin and Ethereum traders taking massive losses as leveraged positions got wiped out across exchanges. And honestly, that liquidation pressure is part of why these moves feel so violent. Because once panic starts, leveraged traders get forced out automatically. That creates more selling pressure, which then triggers even more liquidations. It becomes a chain reaction. Now here is the interesting part though. Even with all this volatility, Bitcoin is still holding around levels that would have sounded completely insane to most people just a few years ago. $77,000 Bitcoin during a geopolitical crisis would have sounded impossible during earlier cycles. And honestly, I think that says something important about where Bitcoin is heading long term. Because despite the volatility, despite the fear, despite the constant headlines, institutional interest in Bitcoin still exists underneath the surface. ETF infrastructure still exists. Governments are openly discussing crypto regulation, and the United States even established a strategic Bitcoin reserve earlier this year. That does not mean Bitcoin is immune to volatility. Far from it, but it does suggest Bitcoin is slowly becoming more integrated into global finance, whether people like it or not. Now, another thing I think people underestimate is how emotional crypto markets become during geopolitical events. One headline about Iran can send Bitcoin down thousands of dollars. Another headline about negotiations or de-escalation can suddenly send crypto flying higher again. We literally saw Bitcoin rebound sharply earlier this year after temporary optimism surrounding Iran-related diplomacy and reduced fears around shipping disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz. That is why short-term trading becomes incredibly dangerous during environments like this, because narratives can shift overnight. Now at the same time, while traders panic over volatility, infrastructure narratives around Bitcoin continue growing underneath the surface. That is part of why projects connected to Bitcoin scalability and usability keep attracting attention even during market chaos. One example is Bitcoin Hyper. Not financial advice, but Bitcoin Hyper is currently priced around 0.0136803 and has already been featured across CoinMarketCap, 99 Bitcoins, Bitcoin Magazine, and other major crypto publications. The project focuses on Bitcoin scalability and usability, which honestly becomes a much bigger conversation if Bitcoin continues evolving into long-term financial infrastructure. Because if adoption keeps growing globally, the ecosystem around Bitcoin also needs to evolve. Now personally, during volatile periods like this, I think security and flexibility matter more than ever. That is why many people prefer using secure crypto wallets like the Best Wallet app instead of relying entirely on centralized exchanges during uncertain market conditions. When markets become emotional, having more control over your assets matters, especially in crypto. So bringing it all together, this latest Bitcoin sell-off is not just about charts, it is about macro fear, geopolitics, leverage, oil markets, and how connected crypto has become to the broader financial system. And honestly, I think that connection will only keep getting stronger over time.